Brought to you by WKTV. I'm Wayne Thomas. Welcome to our forum in search of paranormal possibilities. Please keep an open mind about things that you might not easily believe. Things like vampires, flying cryptids, Dogman, Bigfoot, the Boogeyman, and aliens. And things like ESP, second sight, sixth sense, clairvoyance, and psychic mediums. If you haven't guessed what the podcast is about tonight, it's about ferrymen. It's about getting us from one side to the other. And our special guests are Steve and Laura. I'll have them introduce themselves and explain what they do in just a minute, because I always like to thank Gene Gregory at the controls. Fine job that he does. And I like to thank previous guests. Our last previous guest was Bill Konkoleski, a UFO expert. Now, that dude was far out. And then
Totally.
I should have brought a space helmet with me and just keep it here. I wanted seatbelts on these chairs because, he was just full of it, And then we went to the restaurant and carried the conversation on after that.
What? Oh, I know.
What am I doing?
You're sticking your tongue out at me because
Right.
I'm a party pooper.
No, I'm sticking, not for that reason, because that's what Bill would do to ground himself when he would go to these out-of-body experiences. He started out, he would just stick his finger out, but that didn't work. He found out by sticking his tongue out, it would keep him from here on Earth. What? Sticking his tongue out. Yeah, I told you.
Did he actually have to have an alien in front of him to stick his tongue out?
No,
or did he just do it randomly?
It'd bring him back down to Earth, sticking his tongue out.
Wow.
Okay,
So,
I missed that.
Yeah.
That must have happened at the restaurant.
That happened at the restaurant.
Boy, I missed it.
That's why I wanted to share it with you, Kim.
Oh, jeez. I thought you
Without
were
a
just
doubt,
being silly and giving me,
right.
the business.
Hanging out with Bill, I got to wondering, can we measure infinity? Is that something we can measure? Brandon's the brains of the outfit here. Can you measure an infinity?
Not really, because it goes on forever. So it's like you really can't measure it.
Yeah, well, science actually includes finity as a finite set. So they say that it can be measured. And then what Bill told us was there's 100 sextillion possible places that aliens could inhabit. So science says aliens are statistically inevitable, and also it's imminent that they are, if they're not already here, they're on their way, right? And then he talked about empathy. I feel Bill's pain and the struggle that he went through, being abducted from 2 years old,
right.
And then every 5 years they would come and get him again.
Well, from 2 to 4, that's only 2 years.
Right. And in the beginning, right.
In the beginning, it was more often.
Right.
And then it was more sporadic, wasn't it, as he got older?
Right.
Yeah.
But then, we talked about the ferryman and using that for our literary reference. And the connection here, of course, is, do you know the mythology?
Oh, I do.
The ferryman?
I do very much, yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
It's really kind of interesting. That's actually part of my heritage. So my great-great-grandmother was Irish, and she always talked about that. It's basically, having the money to pay them when you get to the other side. Otherwise, you went to the purgatory place, which was no fun.
And that's why they used to put the
But
coins.
no good Irishman ever wanted to go to.
Yeah, that's why they placed the coins on the eyelids, too.
Yeah.
So the toll for the ferryman.
Yep.
Right. Well, Greek mythology says the ferryman is Charon, and he carries souls, the newly deceased, across the river Styx, from the living to the world of the dead, or Hades, they actually said. But we need to meet you guys, so introduce yourselves, please, and then let's.
Okay, Laura,
Hey, ladies first, right?
Ladies first, that's right.
Well, my name is Laura Briggs. I'm probably, I want to say like a 5th or 6th generation psychic. It just
runs in your family.
It does. It very much does. My mother, my mother's mother, my mother's mother's mother. We've all had the
on the mother's side,
always on my mother's side, and we actually traced our lineage back, and they were gypsies from the Transylvanian hills, believe it or not.
Wow.
And they came down through with the migration and met into the Scottish blood, which is the other half of me. So.
Transylvania.
Very much. We were kind of shocked to find that
Are you
out.
half vampire?
I don't know, but I do like them.
Do you have a daughter?
I do not have a daughter.
Okay. I was
have
just wondering
two
if
sons.
she has the gift, or
I
does
have
your
two
children
sons.
have the gift?
My oldest son is very, very, very good.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
very gifted, and both of my kids kind of accept it. But my older one is a great tarot reader and empath. He's a little bit different, different way than I am, but it's cool.
Cool.
That's interesting. Laura Briggs, do you have a title?
I don't know.
Psychic medium?
Well, you could say that. I like to call myself just an intuitive healer. The thing for me about titles is when you get into that, I feel like you limit yourself. I know people want you to define yourself.
Right.
But the minute I say I'm a psychic medium, then something else will come in. And then I'll be, oh, no, can I really say that? No, I'm this. And I think as it's gone for me, the more work that I do in this kind of stuff, the more gifts I pick up on the way. So, yeah, I usually just say I'm an intuitive reader, intuitive healer. I do crystal therapy, all kinds of natural, alternative stuff.
So when you say healing, what kind of things do you heal? Is it more mental, physical?
I think it can be on all of those planes. We know for a fact that crystals, like this cool little Moldavite, emit frequency, and they do change your DNA and your energy fields as you come in. So, yeah. Sometimes it's emotional work, just as a matter of trying to help someone through a crisis situation and helping them rebalance. Sometimes it's the crossing over or just the communication piece with someone that they aren't able to talk to anymore that kind of helps that situation, facilitates that a little bit. And I'm always a proponent of a more natural, holistic way of doing a physical type of thing to support all of those other. So
we're going to revisit the Moldavite, but what are some of the other crystals? As long as you have the mic, what are some of the other crystals that you use?
For me personally, I love amethyst. It's a quartz crystal, but it's a great amplifier. So it pairs up with whatever I happen to be carrying at the time and just kind of adds to it and makes it a little stronger. And it's just, when I use that in meditation, I'm able to get to higher planes than I would normally. So I love amethyst. And citrine also is in the quartz family. So I would say things in the quartz family are something that, every day people could carry. Citrine is a great thing to have to kind of keep negative energies away from you or at bay. I use calcite to absorb some of the electromagnetic stuff that comes in. I can be a little more sensitive sometimes to that. So
oils? Any oils?
Sure, you bet. They also emit a frequency.
Okay.
Lavender is fantastic
Yeah.
if you to relax you. And I like geranium oil. And of course, myrrh, frankincense, the old world stuff.
Right.
They're really great for those sorts of things. So they all have their own purpose and they work synergistically, which is fabulous. If it works for me, it may not work for you, but we can still find something that would work for you. It's in that family.
I see.
So it's kind of cool.
So do you carry like a black bag with you,
Yeah.
like a doctor would?
Honey, it's a pink coat. No,
I know.
I'm fashion too, right?
I know, right?
Fashion forward psychic. No.
I'm Kate Spade, so
That's right. No, I do have stuff that I kind of keep my crystals in to keep them a little bit separate. A, because sometimes they don't like to play with each other well. And B, just for me to make sure I have all my little goodies when I go somewhere
Right.
or
That's
when
you
someone
showed me
comes
the
to
other day
me.
with those unusual ones. They were.
Yes, I have some really different stuff that,
Can't really buy
it
them.
kind of makes its way to me sometimes. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
Didn't you say citrine is a protective
Yeah.
crystal? What if somebody bought a piece of jewelry in a jewelry store, like a ring, and it had that stone in it? Would that necessarily be...
Yes.
Or does it have to be of a certain size? Like you have to have a certain size rock in order to have... It doesn't matter the size.
It doesn't matter the size. And I think whatever that you can do to keep with you, that, put it in your pocket, carry it on your persons.
But is jewelry okay?
Jewelry works fine.
If it's surrounded by gold, does that decrease
No,
the
it does
crystal's power?
not. No, not at all.
Sometimes it amplifies it.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
Really?
In fact, copper is a big conduit. So copper is a really good way to set
Okay.
that stuff. It's very soft metal, so it doesn't work for jewelry. But if you think back, the kings and the queens, they all carried those big stones, didn't they? Well, they all had meanings. Amethyst was to keep them protected and kind of keep them from getting poisoned. And, they believed that those things had powers to heal them, but also protect them. So sapphires were very, very good for, the same sort of a situation. And they would keep those also for that kind of a connotation as well as a currency, It's kind of
Nice.
fun.
We got to meet
please.
Steve. We got to get his voice
Okay.
here on the air. We got to get that
just for the
voice.
accent.
Steve came a long way to be here. How many hours did you fly?
I think it was about 22 hours in the plane, but overall with stops, because there was a lot of stops, it's probably about 34, I think. So when we arrived, we were sick for about 5 days. So we've actually just recovered now, and we went up to Mackinac City and stuff. So, but we were wiped out.
You went up and saw the bridge when you crossed
saw
the bridge?
Yeah. Laura took us up there, and we haven't seen that before, and that was absolutely beautiful and really, really nice. So, and then we've come back down. What was it? The east coast of Michigan,
Yep.
and went to Oscoda there and saw a son there, and went some tracking, and and that was really cool. Saw where he works, and no, I love it here. It's very like Australia. It's got a very Australia sort of feel to it.
Michigan, you mean?
Yeah, well, Michigan, I think, but also the states in general. But you do know, I think Michigan is very similar, and definitely the scenery and that kind of stuff. And the temperature now, like this is very Australian kind of weather as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like Laura will show me photos of when it's snowing, and you can't imagine it, but you'd be in, 3 feet of snow.
Well,
it's just crazy.
Now,
But,
you get snow in Australia? What, just in the mountains?
Well,
top
yeah,
of the
down
mountains?
south, yeah. We've got some mountains, but they're not terribly high, and we do have snow there in the snow season. But anywhere else, no. So it's more of a subtropical.
Steve Wilson, my brother from down under.
There you go.
It's funny because we first messaged like it was May 18th. It's been that long.
That's
And then it
actually,
was
yeah.
like 6 p.m. and I'm like, well, what time is it in
Yeah.
Australia? Because I didn't really know. I didn't have any clue what time it was. And we're
Yeah.
kind of almost opposite.
Pretty
seemed
much,
like.
yeah. When I'm going to bed, you're waking up and
Right.
vice versa. So that's when I answer my messages, and I'm terrible at it in general. But
We
Yeah.
had several conversations.
Mm.
You didn't write a book, so I took notes from our conversation.
Oh, did you? Oh, you've been tracking me. Okay.
Right, but I'm thinking Laura's gonna have a lot of insight into this too, because
Yeah.
now you talked about how your family, you had a grandmother that did tea leaves, read tea leaves.
Yeah, an English grandmother. My dad's English, so she did tea leaves, and I don't know. I never thought about it back then, but when I was a kid, we're laying in bed with her, drinking tea. She'd read the tea leaves, and looking back, and then my grandfather died when he was about 55. And she used to say that she could see him around, and that kind of stuff.
Right,
And
she saw a ghost. You told me that.
yeah. And again, as a kid, you don't really pick it up, and I used to see things and feel things when I was a kid, but not till later on in life. Then you get pushed. Well, I find I got pushed that way, just by life itself, and you try and do certain things, buy a house, settle down, buy a car, and sometimes it's just not for people, A lot of people it is, but for myself it wasn't.
You said you noticed it when you were young.
For
Was
sure.
that the same with you, Laura?
Oh, absolutely. I just didn't really know much about what it was,
Right.
And it was semi kind of, oh yeah. Oh yeah, Grandma had that, don't worry about it. It was always kind
right.
of pushed a little,
Right.
I think during the earlier, years, that wasn't so cool to be that, or so nice and mainstream people.
I guess the grandparents can get away with that because it was my grandfather that coached me at 5 years old.
Yeah.
How to talk to ghosts, how to
Yeah, you mentioned that.
right,
Yeah.
that the ghost is going to be more afraid of me than I am of the ghost. I wasn't so sure of that at the time. I was 5 years old. Most kids are told there's no such thing, but and then now your grandpa on the other side ran a mission with
That's right.
with the Aborigines.
Aboriginals, yeah, and he was just a very special man. There must be some kind of awe about him, but he was really accepted into their culture, and shown ceremonies and stuff that the average person wouldn't have seen. And then later on in life, he just very quiet man. He'd just do astral traveling in his sleep, and he'd wake up in the morning just he went here, just very casual about it, and I didn't know anything about it until my mum told me, and it's just all this stuff is happening that probably a lot of people are experiencing that they just don't talk about, more than we probably know. Which I
Yeah,
think is cool.
yeah, that's been a subject here.
Or they think
on
they're
this
just
panel.
imagining it, I'm sure there are times where people are imagining stuff, but I think there's a lot of stuff out there that people just don't appreciate that it is real what's happening.
Right, on our panel, this guy's been a ghost hunter, paranormal investigator now because he's going through different facets of paranormal since 2012 when he's serious on the
2011,
teams.
yeah.
2011, you're right,
Yeah.
1 year before I got started. And then Kim is a ghost buster. She's got the Jeep
Oh,
outside.
that's your car.
Right,
Yeah,
with
did
the
you see
slider.
that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Now she,
I kind of have both sides of the fence there. I'm a cosplay, which is the purpose of the Jeep and my group, which is to support community and charities.
Yeah.
But then I've also had experience in the field with the paranormal investigating
right,
as well.
she's trained as well.
So I'm kind of,
she's doing good work though. Now you just had a
Yes,
wishes.
last night we went to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Are you guys familiar
Yeah,
with
I've
that?
heard of that, yeah.
So they had a 5K run last night, raised about $6,000, which, believe it or not, it costs $6,000 to create one wish.
That's huge, isn't it?
And I'm like, just that one little 5K only gave one wish away to
Right,
one kid.
Right.
There's so many kids, you guys, who need wishes right now. If you have an opportunity to visit a Make-A-Wish Foundation event in your town or city, please. I witnessed firsthand a little boy, probably about all of 3, find out he's going to Disney.
Oh yeah.
I've got chicken skin. Chicken skin.
Right now?
Yeah. Do you got chicken skin too?
No, but we're going to bring that up because I know what it's called now. There's a name for it. See, we
talk
both
about-
had it at the same
Really?
time.
We talk about that sometimes. Sometimes we get chicken skin at the same time.
So it's
Or
not
goosebumps?
Goosebumps. You call it goosebumps.
Yeah.
Right, goosebumps.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that.
Ghost bumps from
Ghost
our
bumps.
podcast.
Yeah.
We could talk about it right now because Kim actually was fighting cancer, and she just
Last year.
Oh,
year, and we
really?
went. That's how we met.
Yeah.
Actually, was at a
Yep.
fundraiser, and then she found out.
That I'm in remission right now.
Oh, congrats.
I know, right?
So when we brought that up when the first show she was on, she was sitting here, I was sitting here. I'm like, I got goosebumps. She goes, yeah, me too. And I found out there's a name for that. You guys might know about
Do
this
you know
already.
anything about 2 people getting it at the same time?
Oh, no.
No.
It's called Free Swan, FRISSON, and it's spiritual chills, and it
Right.
means that the spirit guides have reached down and touched us, or angels or friends in the spirit world have reached out and touched us, and that surge of pure spirit energy is what we felt, and it causes chills, spiritual chills. And so it's also a sign that it's one of the first psychic senses to open up for those who are on a spiritual path. So then I had the Moldavite, which we're going to cover even in more depth, and then we had that going for us.
Oh my gosh.
Right. But let's get back to you a little bit more because
Okay.
I mean you haven't talked too much about it. You have a regular job besides
I do, yeah.
the spiritual part of it.
I do have a regular job. I work with helicopters, so I
Nice.
work with the spare parts helicopters, and that's my day job. Keeps me very grounded. Well, helicopters. but and then it allows me to work and do the spiritual stuff on the side, and I mean that's what I love doing, and I want to increase that. Hence why I'm also here in the States, because I'd like to open a few doors and see different things. And I do. I've got Dylan behind you guys. He's my assistant. He does all the bookings for me and stuff
Hi,
like
Dylan.
that. And he's travelled with me. So we're over here just trying to see different. I think over in the States, you guys are more forward with it, as like more wanting to. Well, with it, like the ghost busting thing, that kind of thing, and all that, definitely more wanting to find out about, more curious, I think.
Yeah.
And over, in Australia, that the curiosity is there, but probably not at that level. And I'm curious about that too, and to be around people that are hungry to know more about it or open those doors, So I just basically do readings, usually over the phone or with people, or over Skype, that kind of thing. It initially started out with using crystals, that kind of thing to build, cards, all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of psychics start with that. And we were talking about it the other day with Laura, like the cards are more for validation for a person. So if I say, you're going to meet such and such, or your career's going to change, you pop down a card and it usually backs you up.
Wow.
And you can see that too. And on the topic of the goosebumps, I mean, I usually find that when I'm giving a reading and I'm on track, I start to really goosebump up. I like what I'm doing now, but yeah, and
Sam
yeah.
Moldavite.
Well, it could be, yeah. And I find that that's my sort of sign that I'm on the right path, the right track for that
cool.
person, you know. And then they're sort of validating you too, and you think, yeah, this is cool. I'm doing the right thing. So, but yeah, so now and then I sort of dropped away with cards and crystals. I've got a select few like the Moldavite, which I sort of comes to you naturally, like you sort of know about it because somebody told you about it, and then they get you to hold it, and then you go, oh, this is cool, this matches me. And the Moldavite really opened a lot of intuition for me. I found that like I could just pick up things a lot easier. On the same token, it did release a lot of stuff, so a lot of hang-ups and, you know, hurts and pains and stuff from the past sort of came out. And you have to release that, and that gives space for extra stuff, you know. So, but the Moldavite is very cool. And then I gave it away to my cousin because he was going through some tough stuff, and he lost it, so I didn't have it for a few years. And then before I came on this trip, I just had a vibe to get some, and a friend of mine, she said, oh, I saw some Moldavite, would you like some? And so I had that, and then we left a week later, and here we are. And, you know, Wayne here was speaking about it, and I said, yeah, I've got some, and here, yeah.
Right. Moldavite, it's like 14.7 million years old. Can you get your piece out? So
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
know if the camera will pick up on it.
That's very. Well, Laura's got a larger piece here.
Yeah, I
you
can take
hold
it
that
out
if you
of
like.
it.
It's a
Maybe if you put it on this white piece of paper,
okay.
it will shine up against.
You can get it.
Okay.
I'll get my face out the way.
Yeah.
So I first heard about this from Bill in Bill's book, and Bill says it's mysterious extraterrestrial, and it is the only gem that comes from outer space, and what it's supposed to do is enhance psychic ability.
Which it does. Yeah, very much so.
I think so.
Cool. Thank
It
you.
will fast track your spiritual career and your spiritual
Now yours is
connection.
much bigger.
It is a
Quickens
bigger
your
piece.
spiritual evolution.
Loves where
It's
it
a
is.
translucent blue-green meteorite. That's what it is. It crashed in around Germany and the Republic of Czechoslovakia. You're supposed to be able to like hang on to it and then just get vibrations from it.
Yeah, they call it the Moldavite flush. And you
Really?
you just feel like, well, not everybody gets it, but they feel like a sensation comes through and it goes back down again. And, you know, when you start working with it, some people can only hold it for 24 hours and that's just a bit too much because it just brings up so much stuff, you know.
So you wear this on a necklace, Laura?
I do. I carry it with me. Sometimes I had it in my purse. I was working with somebody, so I had brought it with me. For me, it's a little different. I just feel it all the time. It's just kind of is like a big energy jolt. It doesn't make sense to you. Kind of, I feel like it's very open, opens me up, and I'm very alive, like very alert. You know, like an animal would be when it's out and it's, you know, hunting or whatever. I can just feel it, and it was so strange. This piece that I got from a lady at a gem show, and she minded it herself. They went all over the world, and she had only one piece left tucked away, so it must be it was for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But the first night that I had this thing, I had the weirdest dreams I've ever had in my entire life with that thing. I got all this coded information, like all this. It kept calling it this Viking code, and I'm like, I have no clue what that is. Like, what is that? I don't know what that is, you know. And I researched it. It's an old ham radio frequency.
How did you even?
I have no clue, but it's like it opened this whole thing. It dissolved dimensions is what it was saying it was doing. And I went to this place with these, I don't know.
Wow.
After that, I'm like, okay, you're going back in the box for a while because I have to live a normal life here, you know? But it's really interesting. And ever since then, you know, I can definitely feel it when I hold onto it.
That's a powerful stone.
It is, yeah.
Very powerful stone.
And I've run
Powerful.
into different stuff because of the line of work, you know, and I've never went out and bought anything, but because
Well, I think it's great.
I went out and got me a piece of this.
I think it's great for protection too. I mean, you know, I don't like to talk too much about the negative side of this, but there is going to be some lower stuff, and I do find that tends to keep you out of that realm a bit, you know, or what's around you sort of keeps it away from you, and I always feel very protected with it. And I do give it to people that are going through stuff in their life. When I do a reading, I'll mention maybe buy some, because if another thing it does is it tends to make things happen for you that if you don't know where you need to go, like that next step, that path, and people are stuck, if they have that, it tends to just make it happen. People drop away that you're not meant to have, and people come into your life that you are meant to have. I think that's pretty cool. So it's
Interesting.
Now, according to Bill Konkoleski, in his book, and he talks about it's hard to hang on to. He kept losing his,
yeah.
and then it'd show up a year later, out of nowhere, and then you gave yours away, and then that person lost it.
Well, that's true, yeah.
And then you called it synchronicity because your friend found some and then was going to get you some to bring to the United States.
Yeah, that lines up. Yeah.
Whether it's synchronicity or serendipity, being at the right place at the right time. But you're here.
That's right. But I think there's a lot of help behind the scenes that we don't see that are definitely pushing it that way. I mean, half of the the work that I do, I don't think it's just me. I think there's a lot of people just steering me, behind the curtain, and I'm just that vessel that's just giving the messages or giving the advice that they're meant to hear.
I know. I tried to quiz you on the message and you back and forth because you said, "Oh yeah, you probably know all about psychic mediums." I go, "No,
well,
I don't know anything about it."
I don't either.
Yeah.
And so you tried to explain it, and kind of like Laura was saying, I tried to put you into a box.
Yeah.
Kind of like, give me some definitions of what you do and how you do it. But your passion is for communicating with someone that has passed.
Well, it's going that way, and
Right.
and I was talking to Laura in the car actually earlier that the psychic side, while I do enjoy it, it feels like it's something that I'm outgrowing, and putting it into a box as a psychic medium. Through life with everything, you change your careers and everything. You can't just keep in one spot. So, and meeting you guys is helping me to sort of experience that side of things, and I want to keep going with it. And I don't know where it'll end up, in 20 years' time. I have no idea. I don't know. So I like to keep it fluid and open, and same thing with Laura too. So psychic medium's just a term at the moment. That's obviously going to change, and yeah, I really thought you guys would have hung out with psychic mediums and
well, as a matter of fact, yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
I have, like on paranormal, when we would go, I don't want to say ghost hunting, that sounds kind of weird, but when we...
I use that term all the time.
You do you? Okay, good. So if we went somewhere, occasionally we would have a psychic medium with us, and she would say, okay, this presence is here with us. He's such a, give it very good description of possibly male, female, age range, that sort of thing.
But you guys don't feel that yourself?
I don't. No.
Okay.
Nothing.
I've had moments.
Yeah.
Like I would consider myself like that, but I've had moments where like I'll pick stuff up, but it's not like it's just like a flash here and there, not like on all the time kind of a thing.
Is that because it doesn't come, or you just don't want to explore that, or?
I want to explore it really, because like really I kind of had some paranormal experience when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I think it got to like I kind of shut it out as a kid. Then like the more I started investigating, I think the more it's kind of opened me up.
Yeah.
To be able to experience more stuff, because like when I first started investigating, I didn't experience anything, but really like in the last few years, I've been kind of opening up more.
Yeah, and
experience stuff. So.
And I also, sorry to interrupt, I feel like it kind of happens when you least expect it. But, the biggest experiences I had are just things that happen when you're just open, you're just enjoying your day, and it just, a lot of people don't recognize it because they're not sort of in this sort of industry, but you would probably recognize it more, like you said, as you get into it more and do more stuff, you're obviously opening more about it. You'll probably find that it will, just on the same token, I do feel that your whole the way you look at it is going to change in the next 2 years for sure. Okay. So you're going to. Sorry, I'm doing a bit of a reading.
No,
okay,
you know what?
So,
I was hoping you was going to do a reading. Yes, you were going to read Brandon. Tell you the truth, I was hoping that one of you or both of you was going to want to read Brandon or Kim, either one or.
Well, it just sort of happens naturally. Just as Laura say, you just get stuff. It just comes.
I think the big misconception is that you wake up one day and you're like, "Oh my God, I can see dead people." It does not happen that way.
It did on the movie.
It doesn't. And I think the other big thing is, I want to see dead people. It does not happen that way.
Yeah.
You will develop that skill. You may never develop that skill. It's just kind of a thing. I think everybody is born with it.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
Whether what level you're at that point, that's fine. You can choose to develop it further, or you can choose not to. It's free will. You can do any of those things. but being able to recognize some of it, and for some people, just like a natural athlete, it just comes easier.
Oh,
You know,
my research told me that we all have some ability,
I believe you do.
but when you can, through meditation, you can get a better feeling for that, or you have to be able to recognize your feelings and separate it from somebody else's feelings to know whether you're not reading your own feelings.
That's very true, and that's a practice, right? You don't wake up one day and instantly know that.
Right.
It's not. That's not how it goes. It's working in groups. It's going on these these investigations, or having those experiences and sitting back later and going, well, I didn't feel it this time, but I did feel this. What was that?
This is a giant piece of the puzzle, because that's what we're doing on this show. That was what Brandon wanted to do. He says it's all different pieces of the paranormal, and it's just a puzzle that we're putting together. Puzzle or a collage. You guys represent a piece that hasn't been on this show yet. So I'm fascinated by it. I'm fascinated with the fact that you can do it remotely.
Yeah.
That's the easiest.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah, because you're not influenced by someone. Not that you are, but when you've got someone in front of you that, I'm a big believer of now to just deliver that message, no matter what it is. And say if I'm giving a message to Brandon and you can see his face change, he's looking upset, I may hold back on that.
Right.
But remotely is just like, okay, you're getting this, whatever you do with it that's for you to deal with, because I'm meant to give you that message. And but I think remotely is it's very interesting. I just want to, just before we finish, I was just saying about, I really feel over the next 2 years that intuitively that will just explode for you. Okay.
But get some Moldavite.
And I'm getting well,
anything to help the process.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a I'm getting goosebumps talking about. But,
oh my gosh!
But it's definitely something
Are
that
you getting
is
goosebumps?
it's gonna change for you, and there's it. I see you guys working together, but again, both of you sort of branch off in different direction. I've spoken to you already about this, but I do feel like you'll branch off in a different direction as well. But I can't see what it is, but it's something a lot bigger than what you're doing now, and there's a lot more people involved. I just feel like there's another 3 involved on your side, and a lot more traveling to different states. But I know people say I'm not afraid of it, but just don't be afraid of it. That's what I keep getting. Like, it's going to happen in a very quick rush, and don't be worried about that. That's cool. You can handle it at all times, and you were talking about with using meditation to open up. I think that's one technique, and I found something that was really hard when I first started was a lot of people were giving me all these different things. You need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to read this book, and none of it worked for me. And then I just went, well, I'll just do what I do, and it worked perfectly. So I don't think there's a set way. The way Laura gets ready for reading and gets messages is totally different than what I do, and it'll be the same for you, Brandon, and for yourself, Wayne. So
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I don't use a lot of meditation.
I use meditation.
Funny. I thought you guys would be real similar at how you
No.
perceive things.
Well, that's the part that I always found kind of good. It's like there's so many different gifts and abilities, in that realm. If more people are more empath, more this or that, so that's always kind of hard. That's why it's always kind of hard to define, like you were saying, it's hard to put into a box because there's so many, everybody has different gifts and different abilities.
Well,
even in that field,
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think we are all different. And I'm an empath, 110%. But it took me a long time, like Wayne was saying, to figure out what was mine and what was not.
Yeah.
So that was a learning curve for me as far as that goes, And
So for the listeners and viewers, so empath, a person knows emotions, physical feelings of a person's past, present, or future. You feel you can share their emotions when you're empath. That's what from my research, told me. And we did work with a medium. She called herself a clairsentience.
Yes.
And so she could go into a building and then feel things right from the building. There's all these clair words, and clairvoyance. Start with clairvoyance. It's a French word. Clair means clear, and voyance is vision or seeing. So clear seeing, and then you have clairaudience, audio. That would be clear hearing, and then you have claircognizance, which is
just knowing.
Knowing. Yeah. So clear knowing. But that's putting everything in a box.
It
And you guys
is.
don't fit in
It
that
is,
box.
you know,
I see
I
that.
agree, but I will tell you that I hear them. I do not see them. I can know, but not. Yeah. I have some of those, but I don't dwell those. And quite frankly, I'm glad I don't see them. I really don't want to.
Yeah, we tried to figure out through
Particularly.
messaging where you
don't-
fit
Especially
in,
if they're still
Steve.
stuck
Yeah.
on the death
You're at
stage,
least
Yeah.
two of
you
those
know?
things.
Yeah, I mean, I get a knowing, I hear. I'm starting to see more, but it has to be more of a really intense situation, and then I'll start to see, and it's usually a surprise thing where I won't intend it and it'll happen. I mean, there is one technique which is quite easy for a lot of people to do to see, and I've practiced a few times, is where you're basically in a room and you're laying back on a couch or something and just looking up into your room, but you kind of look past the room and just at the air, and you glaze over and you just don't blink, and then you'll start to see things form in that sort of airspace. And it's hard to do at the start, but after a while you'll find that you do start to see things, and that's how I sort of started to see stuff. Sometimes it's a bit freaky, but most of the time it's pretty cool, you know. But you know, I think if you're a genuinely upbeat person and you're not too negative and all that, you don't tend to harbour those things around you. You know, usually everything's pretty good around you at that time. You know, yeah.
You said you're right on the edge of PK, psychokinesis,
Well,
telekinesis, being able to move things in your mind.
well, that's always
You feel like you're right on the edge of that.
Well, I don't know. Again, it's something that's really interested me, and I've met people again through life that have just popped in that can do it, but are really quiet about it. They don't talk about it. It's amazing. I just think something like that people would talk, but they don't. They just, you know. But I've learned, and I've noticed that when I practice, which I don't do a lot, and I should, but I don't do a lot of. I just get a surge of energy just comes from my feet all the way through into my hands, and it's just crazy. But I haven't explored that. So
Surge of energy. That's the way you described it.
Yeah.
On messaging.
yeah, it's really cool. But controlling that, I think, is really hard. Like, I notice when it happens, it's just I feel afterwards really exhausted, and it gets to a certain level. You just can't go any further at this time. So I
And
guess
just
practicing.
so the viewers and I'm aware, is that the power to move something?
Well,
or
I
is that,
assume so.
or is that the power to talk with your...
Oh no, that's a separate thing. So
Okay.
yeah, Wayne's talking about moving things. So,
Moving things, like moving that...
Like
Like
bending
a plan or
spoons, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought about bringing some spoons, but I didn't want him doing any parlor tricks, except for readings maybe on Brandon or Kim. That's what I was hoping you were going to do.
Yeah.
And we got a little bit
I think
of that.
I'd
so.
freak... I don't know.
Leave
I'd
Kim
probably freak... If you bent a spoon, I think I'd freak right
Yeah.
now.
Freak right now.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think I could
No,
do it
I
at
would-
this
I
stage. I'm
think
not at that
I'd love
level.
it.
Yeah.
So that's like PK, or the old term is telekinesis. The moving
Okay.
things are with your mind, but
Yeah.
your telepathy though is a different thing. That's
That's
with
just
the mind.
that's just something that like when we're having conversation and stuff about Brandon that popped up. It's like someone's writing a book in my head, and and I'm reading that story. Like it's like okay, I'll start doing that,
cool.
and it just continues. Like there's somebody writing this book, and it just continues to go and go and go, and you're just spilling it out. You know.
And Steve rarely remembers.
Yeah. Well, it
readings.
might be the same for you. It just an intense reading. Like
You don't remember?
I remember all of that
Oh,
stuff.
there you go. She's different.
You know, well, I say that because I'm very aware of my energy, so I refuse to let anything else get into that space. You know, people talk about channeling, where they step out of their own physical space and let something speak through them. I just don't do that. I like to know where my stuff is, so I'm very present when I do that for somebody. That's just me. I know other people that are like, Steve, that's not. Yeah, they don't remember.
Now you're in tune with the chakras.
I am.
Oh, so we probably should cover that.
Very
then.
much. You know, and I'm going to just throw this one out because it's my kind of my passion too, because I do astrology. And I think you can tie a lot of those gifts into astrology, actually, astrologically, where you were born and your little star map as to where those gifts are and where you could develop them. And even your purpose as to why you came this lifetime, if you believe in multiple lives, or, you know. It's very interesting when you do a chart to find those things. And I'll ask him, can you, oh yes, I can do that. Oh no, you know.
Oh, wow.
Some signs just inherently carry that heavy energy that they can get to those realms, and depending on the placements.
It's just easy for them, isn't it? Because they're not you're in a
It's
different
more,
spot,
it's a natural gift. It's something they chose as they came through this plane to possess, to do the purpose that they were intended to do. You know, I can speak to mine because I know my chart. You know, I was born with a Scorpio rising at a very late degree, which basically is just a very psychic house. It's a very psychic, thing. I have a Pisces moon, makes me incredibly empathic, just wonderfully empathic. So those two things together, based on where some other parts of my chart are that are my purpose, make me very equipped to do this kind of work.
Interesting.
I didn't really want to. It developed very organically. And as I got older and found this, how I kind of fell into those things. And I think I'm a diehard scientist too, guys, because I was on your end. I worked with a team that did that. I've held the EVP machine.
Yeah,
and,
right.
I've done all of that stuff because I'm like, no, I'm proving this wrong.
Right,
Yeah. That
Are
was
you a
always
mother?
my intent. I am. I have 2 sons. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that emotion, there's a lot of emotion that's tied in with that, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
I think like for Laura, and I mean, I think a lot of female readers get that emotional connection easier than even I would. Like as a guy as reading, I find it harder to connect. I'm very, bring the astrological thing in, I can't say it. I'm a Taurus, so I'm very grounded, and I can be quite blunt in readings, and I like to work very, this is what's going to happen, this is what, da 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 da, and I don't really bring a lot of emotion into it, and that works for me, but I find I find it hard for me to connect that way. But some people like a reading like that, they enjoy that.
I just believe whoever comes my way was
Yeah.
meant to come my way. So,
Yeah.
and I think that the same for you.
Oh, sure,
Everyone
yeah.
receives things differently. So,
Yeah.
Now, when you get these messages, are these people in a good place, a happy place?
Well, definitely. I feel they're around us. I don't think they're always around us. So if somebody passes away early, or on the same token, my personal belief is we choose when we are born and when we die, and I do believe we already choose how we die. So if it's natural occurrences or a tragic accident, I do believe it's already been chosen, and the date of death. Because however we're doing that, I believe that's growth for the soul, if you want to call it. We might come down, and I think the Lord's the same as me. I believe in sort of reincarnation. We come down, we die, we come back again. I believe in that, past lives. And we might get to a certain level where our soul keeps growing, and then we don't come back down. We might be a guide or something to that level. I think they're there. But I also think that maybe that's their choice. So if a mother may pass early in her life before her kids, I think she hangs around because she's meant to hang around, and I think they can do a lot of things in the background, pulling strings and to help them with their lives. They're meant to be at a certain point in their life, so the mother there who's passed over can help. So, but I do think they're in a good place. Yeah, I tend not to think of the negative stuff. I'm not. Yeah.
But do you ever get in contact with like an angry spirit, someone that's upset or frustrated?
Yeah, I mean, there's instances where I'll feel that, that they're around, but I mean, I've got a lot of things now where I say, go, bugger off, don't bother me, or that kind of thing.
Oh, do
stay out, yeah. But I do feel that those kind of sometimes, not a lot of time, because I choose not to, like Laura. I don't want to enter that space. I am interested in that. I don't want to. I'm not someone who wants to actively seek it out and just live there for the rest of my life, because I think that's pointless.
People have to do that with ghosts. They have to tell them, leave me alone.
Yeah, and
and they absolutely can do that. I think people don't realize they actually have the power just to stop that, to say go away. When I go to bed, stay away. Nothing comes in my space. I mean, you can do that.
But we would talk, if we're out at an investigation site, to say the Lord's Prayer or something before you exit that site and before I get in the car, and I will even repeat it over and over again as I'm driving away or down the road until I feel like, hey, I've accomplished what I want to accomplish,
And I think that's good if that works for you and gives you that security, knowing that you're clear now, and
right,
and definitely, yeah, you need. I think it's essential to have some kind of little clearing thing.
right.
Me and Dylan went to see a scary movie not long ago, that Winchester House one, and we were driving back in the car late at night, and he's not really in this game, but we could feel something in the back of the car with us.
What?
Yeah,
The
What's
Winchester building,
there was a
where she
movie.
keeps building, adding on.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love that. That's a movie now
It is,
too,
yeah,
but
with
it's a
Helen
book
Mirren.
too, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
And
Is
it's
it
a
a
true
book?
story.
Yeah, it is a true story. Apparently,
Right.
there is an actual house. Which is,
Winchester rifle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's a good story.
but there
You
was,
went there?
No, we watched the movie. That just
Oh,
came out. We just
movie, yeah.
simply went and watched the movie, and we were driving back, and I could just feel it. And somebody sitting in the back of the car that had passed over, and a younger male, but there was a very sort of feeling of mischief to this person, and I was not getting a good feeling. Like I was getting the goosebumps, but very hot and prickly. It was a different feeling, and I knew that it wasn't such a nice feeling. And I didn't feel threatened or worried, but it just felt like this spirit that was around just didn't have great intentions. They were a bit wanted to play around. So, and they just followed us all the way home, and then I got back to my place, and I just told it to get out. You got to go. Can't have you.
But
here.
you don't think it
especially
had
following
anything
you
to do
home.
with the movie, right?
Well, no, I don't know. Maybe when
Oh.
you're watching that movie, you're just a bit more open to that stuff, But I
interesting.
have no idea.
Right.
But yeah.
You explained to me, like, you tell people you tie up loose ends and unfinished business, or they just want to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And then you give insights into the career, love life, into the future.
Yeah.
And your passion is to deal with.
But
The
my
dead.
passion is the dead, basically. That's where I want to go, and a lot of the messages I probably get to give to the people are from family members that have deceased.
Family members.
And they're saying, or they hang around because they just need to give that message, and they they move on or whatever. And I want to give that message as accurate as possibly as I can, to the right people, and I do like the idea of seeing, but I'm not too fussed. I just want to give the correct message and get it through, because
That's why I picked out Brandon.
Okay.
I'm giving a clue away because
Okay.
he had a recent relative
Ah,
that
right,
died
okay.
that was close to him, real close to him.
I saw a female around you. That was what I saw, but I don't know if that's the person that passed. But yeah, it's
What about deja vu? Do you guys buy into that at all? I mean,
I do.
that has nothing to do with what you guys do.
Kind of not. I mean, to me, I always looked at that as a marker. Like, somehow in my journey that I was here in this physical plane, that comes to me as a marker that I'm on the right path. It's like a little, yep, you're going the right way kind of a thing.
Well,
when
we're
it
doing it
happens,
again,
it's like,
so-
okay, a little message for myself, the other self, bringing me back to this. Yes, this is where you're supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to, that kind of thing.
I would be wondering now, is there something I'm supposed to do different this time around? What did I do wrong the first time? And I got to live this all over again.
Well, do your chart, Wayne, and I'll tell you what.
Now,
It's in there.
I'm January 18th, so I'm right in the middle of.
Aquarius. Oh no,
Capricorn.
Is
you're not.
that
Capricorn.
Sagittarius or is that the cutoff?
It's Capricorn.
Oh,
You're
okay.
on the cusp.
Right.
You're on the Capricorn Aquarius cusp. So.
And you were talking about how these things kind of overlap, and then that's something that we brought up on this show before. These different aspects of the paranormal, how they are overlapping. These puzzles, when they come together and they're not an exact fit, they overlap more like a collage. So that
I always thought of it as we're all saying the same thing. But we all speak a different language. So it just has to be what language you understand it in. It's the same thing. It's just you speak astrology, I speak crystals. This person might look at it, however it works. It's just the language.
Todd Clements from Mackinac Island, he was on a couple shows ago. You guys were just up there close to him. But he's talking about fairies and how every country has a different name for fairies. But they're still talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And then I wondered when he gave his description whether it couldn't be extraterrestrial, the way he described the movement of them. But I know you want to know a little bit about what we do.
I would like to know. Yeah.
I know you wanted to know that. I don't
Yeah.
know. Brandon, can you explain what you do, how you do it a little bit?
Well, basically what we do is, like, a lot of times we start off with doing an interview, figure out kind of what the claims are, try to do research, see if we can figure out what's kind of going there. A lot of times we'll have some of our team members that are not psychic, but they're more kind of like empathic, kind of ability, see if they feel anything in any of the areas. And we kind of go with that, and we kind of investigate.
Do you get a sorry to interrupt? Do you get a feeling yourself though, like straight up, like do you? Because
There are places that I've gone into, like the Elgin County Jail. I felt like I was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like I knew I wasn't having it, but I could feel that energy
Yeah.
of like a heart attack. And I've had other places where I've just like gone in. Felt fine the whole day. I go into a location, just feel physically sick. Like I got sucker punched in the stomach, you know. I had to gone out of the building for a while, and
So you got to trust that, because that's
Yeah.
that's huge, and that's
Yeah.
something that's just going to explode.
Yeah.
You know, and because it sounds like you're quite empathic, like Laura, and it'll get to a stage where you might get into areas where it is too much for you, and
Yeah.
you need to know how to deal with that. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Right. Now, they go in with prayers and stuff, but now he's been up to Paddock Place. We all have. And that's one of the places, that's that mansion I talked about,
Okay.
where we go up to the 3rd floor, and it's like you stepped into another dimension.
Really?
It's like a rubber floor. Brandon described it like a...
it feels like you're on a trampoline. Like you're all standing still, and it feels like you can feel that up and down kind of
Like a
movement, like a
wave?
wave kind of going through the
Yeah.
floor.
makes you
yeah.
nauseous.
Really?
And the funny thing too is you have the elevator there, and that thing goes up and down depending. It's maybe more mechanical, but it's like it will decide when it goes up
Yeah.
and down. Like we were all up there. We got on the elevator. The thing would not close and would not go down. We all get off the elevator as soon as we're all off. The doors close and it goes down.
Oh, for Pete's
So it's like really.
Yeah, that place. Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
places where I was hoping we'd get a chance to stop into.
Yeah.
There's something really spooky. It's like walking into a fun house up there.
Yeah.
Did something happen there, or do you want to mention it until we go there? or-
Well, I do know there was one death there,
Okay.
but it was natural causes. But it's been a lot of different things through the years, and they had children there, and I don't know what went on with the children. You know, there's always these stories, but it was with the church,
Right. Okay.
and I don't really know. I don't know any details, but I do know there's something. My camera would not work up there on that 3rd floor, and then I got outside. I took a bunch of pictures, but it was like there was nothing wrong with it. But as long as I was up there on that 3rd floor, camera wouldn't work. Yeah, that's one of the weirdest places that we've just walked into, and everybody experienced it at the same time. So it was like, it wasn't just one person feeling it, which happens a lot in the ghost. Brandon's seen full form apparition too. He can tell you
Oh,
what a
wow.
ghost looks
not
like.
at Paddock Place, but yeah, I
Yeah, at a
had,
different place.
at a radio station and seeing like this guy come walking down the hallway and then turn into one of the rooms. And we were there, like in the booth, like with the DJ, and I'm like, would there be anybody else up here besides us? I'm like, no, nobody else would be up here. So I described what the guy looked like, and they were like, well, we know who that is. Like, he used to work here. He passed away of a heart attack.
Wow.
Like, the room you seen him turn into was his office, and it was his job in the middle of the night to come in and put the radio stations back up, like if they were having a technical issue, because they're all automated at night. So
And that just happened and you weren't even searching to look for one. It
no,
just,
I was just looking out the little, they
Yeah.
had like a little window, just looking down the hallway, and just happened to really quick happen, and happened to see it.
yeah. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, at the end, we always do a thing, final thought, where we give everybody a chance if they had something they wanted to talk about and they didn't get the opportunity. So, I mean, we're getting close now. So we have to get into that mode. Kim, do you have a final thought?
Sure. I've had a really busy week working with different charities. I've had National Safety Night in my local town of Holland. Last night I told you I was at the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Next big thing would be next week, Wednesday, we'll be over at Helen DeVos Children's Hospital for Project Nightlight, which if you don't know what that is, you can look it up on Facebook, Project Nightlight. It's where we stand in front of the Children's Hospital, and it's 15 stories tall or something like that. And you can see the kids shining flashlights down at
yeah,
us,
I've
and
seen
we
that.
shine the flashlights up at them. So it literally starts at 8:30 at night, which is a little bit later for most people, but you got to have that little bit of a dusk in order to
Right.
see the night lights. And, we'll have special events out there like, superhero nights or Star Wars night or whatever. So there's always something fun going on, and it's always the second Wednesday of every month that we're out there at Project Nightlight at Helen DeVos Children's Hospital in Grand Rapids.
That's what we do at this final thought. Also, plug anything. If you got something that you want to get in there, you got any events coming up, and then Brandon?
Yeah, I just want to say, check out the Kent County Paranormal page on Facebook. I think we're doing an investigation. I believe Saturday night we're going to try to do some Facebook Live. And in a couple weeks, we're going to be going up to Michigan Paracon. So we're going to be doing some live videos up there, too. Check out the Kent County Paranormal YouTube page and subscribe. And the Brandon Jose, Hoezee, Paranormal. And subscribe to that page as well.
Oh, and I forgot to say Tulip City Ghostbusters If you're wondering where to find me on Facebook, I forgot to tell you where I'm from, so little plug there.
Tulip City Ghostbusters, they're doing great stuff.
Yeah.
They really are. I mean,
Busier than all get out. Yeah.
So do people just call you and
Yes.
No.
Yes, all the time.
Wow.
I have to turn them away sometimes. I'm so busy. And
there is so much out there that people just don't realize, do they?
yeah, and really a lot of people just don't understand what I do, right? So I drive this vehicle that has slime dripping down it and, you know, Ghostbusters and Slimer and all this. Are like, we don't know what this is, but we love it. So I just have to explain to people that, you know, we're an assistance to charity organizations. We help fundraise, we help support community events, and we're there to, you just be a part of the community and help, you know, make it a better place to live.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Yay, Kim.
I know, right?
You know, I guess, and I would just tell people, you know, trust your inner voice, trust your intuition. If you're interested, do the work, read the books, go online, reach out to people, you know, get the Facebook page and get involved and just learn to kind of trust yourself, because truly I do believe it's in every single one of us, and just throughout time we've dulled our senses to that. It can be reopened, absolutely. Takes a little
That's a
effort.
great final thought, right? It's in all of us. I mean,
Yeah.
we've said that 3-4 times tonight, and some people might think it's like a gut feeling. You have a gut feeling about something. Well, maybe it's more than a gut feeling. Maybe if you find yourself predicting things, things are coming true. That I one time I did a report and I brought it in for the mother of a 10-year-old who was seeing all sorts of things, and they had her on medications, and all of a sudden they saw that she was interested in music, and I had put on my report that I thought maybe there was some kind of hidden talent for music, and then the grandmother, actually it was, started crying, and it's like I didn't know why, but then she took me to the board and said, I didn't even know this. How did you know it?
Wow.
You know, I don't know. I felt really close to that case. That's the first case that we worked that was so serious. It's probably the most serious case that we've worked since, because like I say, they had her on medications. They thought for sure there was something wrong with that little 10-year-old.
And kids are very open. They can
Very.
see and sense things, and more than adults, you know, for sure, because we're so, you know, blinded by daily activities and our lives. And I think, we need to listen to the kids when they say that.
Yeah, by the time we're adults, we've been trained
Yeah.
not
We've
to.
been trained not to
Yeah.
believe anything,
Yeah.
right?
For sure.
Is that you now? You got any more? You got anything phone things going on at all?
At the moment, no. I've as in phone readings.
Right.
We've got some booked in for when I get back to Australia. Funnily enough, for people in New York. So I've just.
So you got to go to Australia to talk to him in New York? You're almost there.
I know, it's strange. I've had about 3 or 4 people contact me in the last week in New York State for readings, and I've never done a reading there, so I don't know what that's about. There's something going on there. So, but I just want to say thanks to all you guys for having us on. You know, it's
absolutely.
really great to experience this, and thanks to the wonderful producer over there
The
for
man
putting up
behind
with the
the camera.
conversation and pushing all the magic buttons. And thanks to Wayne also for inviting me on. I think, like Laura was saying, everybody's got the gift. Well, it's not a gift. Everybody's just got that innately in them, you know. And if you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. I think people that probably are destined in their lifetime to do it as a career probably have enhanced, and it comes to them a little bit easier. Probably for myself and Laura, because, you know, we probably do it a lot more. It just comes up a little bit easier. But I'm all about teaching people how to do it as well.
I agree.
Because
Find us, we'll help you.
oh yeah, and just through a day, you know, if people need to know something, just getting through their day, trusting their intuition and knowing how to separate that from your own voice, and you know, if people have passed over in your family that are trying to give you a message, majority of the time people are getting it in their sleep, or you're having a dream and you just pass it as a dream, and there's a message in there, and people need to understand there's a lot of stuff around it that they don't see, and if they're just a bit more open and just a bit more recognize things, it can really enhance their lives and make things a lot easier, you know. But yeah, anyway, I'm Steve Wilson, Psychic Medium on Facebook, so yeah, if you'd like to chat. Thank you very much.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this is really interesting to me. And then we brought up the chakra. And I wanted to go through this. There's 7 chakras.
There's 7 that they talk about. I think there's actually up to 14.
Okay.
But the main 7 that you always see, yeah.
I was most fascinated with the brow chakra.
There's a brow chakra.
The brow chakra.
The third eye,
The third
the
eye.
blue, the indigo one.
Right.
Is that what you mean?
Right. I'm
The
thinking maybe that's
pineal
what you
gland.
guys are tapping into, is that third eye.
I think so.
Maybe. And then it goes higher than that, the crown.
The crown.
crown,
Crown's
which
right,
is a higher
yeah.
one. Yeah. You know, I think it's there.
But again, I think not overthinking it. It just happens. It's. I don't think we need to always figure out why or how. It's just it's there.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have to put it into a box. I know we tried to on this show. So I wanted to try to get some definitions.
okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to try to understand these guys and then pass on the word. I mean, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
You know, it's para-unity, and this was you guys are the first psychic medium, so I was really,
Cool.
I was excited about
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Right? And then my thing is spiritual healing. That's what I want to be into. I'm not researching ghosts. I'm not hunting ghosts like that. So
Right.
give me a call, 238-8132. And I just got a call last night. I can troubleshoot over the phone, too, if you're having trouble with ghosts. But what I'll do, if I get a call, I told Brandon I'll just send him to his way.
Yeah.
Kent County Paranormal, and then he
Yep.
can handle that. But my final thought is keep an open mind, and it's about all things, you know. If you listen to your kids, if your kids are telling you they're seeing things, they're feeling things,
Yeah.
pay attention to the kids. And an open mind about the third eye, I guess, the sixth sense, because that's what this was all about. And if you think you have that,
Yeah.
you might want to try to develop it.
You can help a lot of people, that's for sure. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Another good show,
Thank you very much.
Steve.
Cheers.
Next time you're here from Australia, let me know,
Yep.
and we'll do it again.
No worries, we can do that. No
No worries.
no worries, mate. He told me, he wrote that on the message. I thought he was pulling my leg.
I
thought-
didn't hear any Australian sayings the whole
Didn't
time.
you? Oh.
Give me your best. Final thought. Give
What
me
were
your
we
best.
joking? The,
I want
the
us-
dingo
us-
stole my baby, or Barbie, or g'day, mate. or
There you go.
whatever.
I love it.
We'll leave it at that.
Right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Peace out.